per day. One of those Republicans, member of the Senate Health Committee and Homeland Security Committee, Senator Roger Marshall, joins me. He's also a doctor. Nice to see you, sir. And before I go to your bill, can you tell me, what's the big secret with the CIA as to the origin, or what they think is the origin of the virus, since we've had 5 or 6 federal agencies, the FBI is speaking about it, WHO is speaking about it, the Energy Department. I mean, what could be sort of the national security issue that they won't tell us?
Well, Greta, it's good to be with you. And I think that's a tough one for me to answer. And I'm just going to say that the answer to that's probably classified, and I think we better move on. So forgive me, I can't answer that one.
Let me just ask you this. Do you know the answer and you know it to be classified, or you think that they're saying it's classified so we can't hear it?
Oh, there may be both of those things going on at this moment as well. I think that's a tough one for me to answer. I apologize.
All right. All right, okay, now I'll give you a pass on it. Now I'm more curious, though. Okay, let me go now to your bill. That if HHS doesn't tell us, give us the documents, it's $1 million a day. My first thought is what do they care? It's not their money. That $1 million is our money. You know, it's not like it really is a pinch to HHS, because that penalty doesn't impact the HHS. It impacts the rest of us.
Well, Greta, I think it impacts their budget one way or the other. I think there's going to be less money for them to control. But regardless of that, here's my concern, is that the CDC had their own employees embedded in China when this virus broke out. I want to know what they knew. At the same time, we know that the HHS was funding research with Dr. Ben Hu, H-U is how you spell his last name, and he's probably was patient 0. So here we are funding a person in charge of COVID research, working with President Xi, the bat lady. He's probably agent 0. We think there's records out there that HHS has that'll help point us towards the origins of COVID.
Well, just as an aside, CDC is not high on my list, because during COVID, I think it was the AP did a Freedom of Information Act request of the CDC, and there was one document produced where they had banned me from getting interviews of the CDC, of the director and others about during the COVID. So go figure that, why they didn't want to talk to me. I was expressly named. Okay, here's something else to understand. WHO, we give them anywhere from $200 to $600 million a year. We're not even getting information from them about the COVID origin, or I don't even know if they know it is, because they seem to be carrying the water for China and just repeating what China says.
Well, you're right that World Health Organization has been bought and paid for by China. Dr. Tedros, their head, was a person that they forced to the front of that agency as well. So they are in the back pocket of China. You're absolutely right. I don't know why we would continue to fund them. They're way outside their mission set, what we asked them to do. Now they're a political arm of the Chinese Communist Party. So I don't know why we're still funding them. I would be in favor of ending all the funding for them at this point in time.
Well, I'm still stuck on a January 14, 2020 tweet where they basically say, where it basically says, repeating what China said. China says that it's not transmissible, they don't transmit it from one human to another human, as though the rest of the world is supposed to accept that. Meanwhile, they had previous reports about clusters. There's the tweet up there. Preliminary investigations conducted by the Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission. Well, they need to have their heads examined, because even before that, there were clusters of people getting sick, being around each other in December and probably into November of 2019. So I don't know why we give them a dime. I don't give them why. So where's your bill going?
Well, that's a good question. We'll see if we can get it somehow through one of our committees and get a hearing on it. But I think it's an uphill battle right now. With the Democrats controlling the Senate side, it's probably going nowhere. Maybe Chip Roy on the House side, who's introducing it, will have a chance to introduce it in one of his committees as well. But to your point, that this outbreak was occurring in November of 2019, and this Dr. Ben Hu is the person we'd all love to talk to. We'd love to talk to EcoHealth. We were funding EcoHealth, who was funding Dr. Hu as well. So, and the World Health Organization had to know this. They refused to let American scientists in there.
And I know you don't want to talk about the CIA, but tell me the CIA didn't know there were clusters of people getting sick in Southeast Asia at that time, and they were mum about it as well. And if they didn't know about it, then that's also a big problem, because then they certainly aren't very good at intelligence gathering. But we'll talk about that another day. Senator Roger Marshall, thank you, sir.
You bet, Greta. Thank you.
Thank you.